求めるものはただ一つ。
Yo, how's it going? Been a hot second, huh? Back into the groove of things. This week, we've got another traveler joining us, Osvald. His OST alone can turn a toddler into an honorable fugitive. It's an absolute banger. The slow crescendo of the piano, along with the melodic cello, can send shockwaves capable of even replacing defibrillators. But anyways, Osvald is a ice, fire, lightning scholar of the Domination faction and hailing from the Memoirs of Celestia. The best way to describe him? Well, think of Cyrus version 2.0 and you have Osvald. His abilities are pretty much the same thing with added goodies, but with that, let's go ahead and check him out. Osvald is voiced by Nakata Choji, or Alucard from Hellsing, or the all-great Albert Wesker from the Resident Evil series. These are the only two I know about. Let me know if there's others that you recognize. Let's head over to his notable damaging skills. Now he has two different categories. They all do the same thing with different elements. In his first category, he has a 3-hit random target fire elemental damage attack, potency 65. This attack lowers the enemy's fire resist by 15% for each hit for 2 turns, and if his latent ability is activated, this ability becomes a single target and also lowers the elemental defense 10% for each hit. And then he has the ice version of that, and he also has the lightning version of that. Now for the next group, which is his AoE attacks, starting with his fire ability, it's an SP cost of 70, it's a 3-hit AoE fire elemental damage attack, potency of 80, and if his latent skill is activated, this fire ability gets a 50% potency and also inflicts combustion to the enemies for 2 turns. And his ice variant does the same thing, but he inflicts frostbite instead, and for his lightning, same thing, but now he inflicts shock instead. For his final ability, which is his DP skill, it's an SP cost of 84, it's a 1-hit random target to fire, ice, lightning, elemental damage attack, and this attack gets recasted. Now for his EX skill. After turn 3 and 4 usages, it lowers all the enemy's elemental defense by 15% for 2 to 5 turns, depending on the boost level, and it also inflicts the missed elemental attack to that enemy. With his latent skill activated, this EX skill also lowers the enemy's elemental defense by 30% and elemental resist by 30%. For his latent ability, after turn 4 and can be reused after 2 turns, he gives himself a 1-turn buff. His battle skills focus on one enemy, and it gives an additional effect, as we've seen before with his battle skills. For his ultimate, a level 1 to level 10, he gives himself a self-potency of his battle skills by 100% for 3 turns, and his damage cap is increased at level 1, 10,000, and at level 10, 50,000. For his passive, he gives the front row a 1-hit to either fire, ice, or lightning when any of your allies use fire, ice, or lightning attacks. This has a potency of 200. His second passive, he gives himself a 20% damage up to fire, ice, and lightning, and at 6 stars, this gets increased to 30%, and he also gets dead aim. Then he has a 20% in fire resistance, 20 in ice, and 20 in lightning. Taking a look at his stats here, his elemental attack stands out as he is, of course, the elemental attacker, and he also has the highest elemental attack stat as a scholar in the entire game, even still on the JP side, and only tying with their latest scholar. Like most other scholars, his HP and speed are on the lower side, so he'll be somewhat squishy compared to some of the other classes. So now for the main question, what is the one true magic? Or, should you poll? He essentially is a better Cyrus. If you mistel on Cyrus, he is the better scholar to go for, but with that said, amazing at either fire, ice, or lightning. He's definitely good with those elements, but in this day and age, characters with only a 3-hitter attacks aren't all that great. He has high potential to do big damage, but he's severely limited in his abilities. Then comes his biggest flaw, which are the enemies in the game themselves. So far, there has only been one relevant boss that's weak to fire, ice, and lightning, all at the same time, and that was the level 120 NPC in Toto Haha. You want to prioritize attacking either 1 or 2 weaknesses of the enemy, and of course that all depends on your team, on what you can build. Currently now and even in the future, there's not a lot of enemies in the game that are going to be weak to all 3 at once, or even 2 of the 3 at the same time. So if you're up against an enemy that's weak to fire, the best you can do is inflict combustion, lower fire resist, and elemental defense and resistance. With his abilities, he almost functions more as a sub-DPS rather than a straight elemental DPS. This passive gives a +1 hit to either fire, ice, or lightning if, of course, your allies use said elements. So to fully maximize his usage, you want to use him along with other elemental attackers that also, of course, use the same element. His A4 accessory gives a 140 to elemental attack, and when the traveler is in the front row, they get a 20 SP regen of 20, and also lowers fire, ice, and lightning resistance of all enemies by 10%. This isn't too bad, a rather high elemental attack stat, and it's a free anytime fire, ice, lightning resist down to enemies when that character is obviously in the front row. It's a nice accessory to have, but I wouldn't chase after it. Now longevity. Because of his passive skill, which gives a +1 hit to any of those elements, he can be good to bring along as he can also inflict combustion, shock, and frostbite. That always helps out when lowering shields. His EX skill, which can be used 4 times per battle, you can stack up his Miss Elemental attack, which is definitely nice to have for difficult battles. And with his lane skill active, you can also lower the enemy's elemental resistance to 30%. Because of all these, he somewhat still has some relevance in elemental teams. But with that said, let's go ahead and finish up. Character design 5 out of 5. Osvald alone had the best story in Octopath 2. It was such a complete 180 compared to Cyrus's story from Octopath 1, and I absolutely enjoyed it. It was a story of revenge, and it stayed constant. There wasn't a lame twist where the villain turned out to be a good person or anything like that. His story was just all about revenge, and each chapter only fueled the hype. But with that, his character design is pretty badass. When I think of scholars like Cyrus or Odette in a classy robe, looking fancy. And it's the complete opposite of Osvald. His clothes are in tatters, and he has a chain around his neck, symbolizing his struggles. His VA, 5 out of 5. Alucard from Hellsing is straight up again badass. And Wesker from Resident Evil is one of my favorite video game villains of all time. Although I do like his English VA a little bit better. Next, abilities 3 out of 5. Again, his abilities are just like Cyrus's, but better. Longevity, his passives along with his status effect abilities are always great to have. Level buff 0 out of 5. He didn't get any. Overall impression, he's decent, but we really do not need another like Cyrus. In early game, he's great, but he falls off heavily when you start focusing on specific team comps. And not to also mention, elemental attacks are still far behind physical attackers, even still in the JP side of things. After maintenance is over, I'll do a field post for him, just because I like him as a character, but I don't ever see myself ever using him, as again, most enemies in the game will probably be weak to only one of his element or his abilities, and by bringing him along, you then want to use the elemental team to fully take advantage of his passives. But again, he is a pretty cool character. Alright, well, that was it for Osvald. Let me know if you'd be pulling for him. I'm getting back into the swing of things as I'm still in vacation mode, but with that, I'll catch you next time. Take care of yourself. Light out.